Hello students, welcome to the class. Today I will be discussing chapter number 5 and the name of the chapter is heat. Chapter number 5, name heat. What do you mean by heat? Heat is a form of energy, and energy is the capacity to do work. Okay, so heat is a form of energy, and the energy which we get that is used as a capacity to do work, to do our activities. Okay, so heat, imagine a freezing cold earth or an earth that is burning hot. Okay, so imagine your earth is very much extreme cold. Okay, so or extreme hotness on the earth. Will you be able to survive on the earth? No, it is impossible to survive on the extreme hotness, and it is impossible to, as well as it is impossible to survive in the extreme cold. Okay, cold in the coldness. Okay, so it should be in a moderate temperature. The temperature should be in moderate. Okay, so that all the living beings can survive very nicely on earth. Nothing would survive. Heat is important for life, but it must be just right, neither too hot nor too cold. In so heat, in extreme heat conditions, nobody can survive. Suppose today's temperature is 58 or 60 degrees Celsius, 60 degree. Okay, will you be able to survive? No, will no living things will be able to survive. In fact, you have heard about in news in the places where the temperature goes high in the summer seasons. Okay, that death rate occurs due to the temperature. People die. Okay, so it proves that in a hotness, in extreme condition, living beings cannot survive. Okay, so there should be a moderate temperature, moderate heat. Okay, in a extreme coldness, in a extreme cold areas also, nobody can survive. Living organisms cannot survive in extreme cold areas. So what is heat? What do you mean by heat? Heat is a form of energy, as I told you. So the energy, you have read this in your previous classes. You have also read that energy has the capacity to do work. Okay, though heat is a form of energy, and energy has the capacity to do work. Energy gives us the capacity to do our daily life work. Okay, so from energy we get the capacity to do work. It would be better, in fact, to say that energy is the capacity to do work. If heat is a form of energy and energy is the capacity to do work, then heat must be able to form work. Consider the following. So if heat is a capacity, heat is a form of energy, and energy is said to be as the capacity to do work, then the heat must be able to perform works. Okay, so here when you heat a pan of water and the water at the bottom rises, that gives the water the energy to rise it heat. Okay, so what happens? For an example, you are boiling, you are heating a pan of water or a utensil. Okay, or a tumbler of water in a utensil. At that time, what will do? What you can see that the water gets heated up. That means the temperature rises. The heat of a normal water which you are boiling, the temperature of that water rises. That is heat. Okay, and gives water the energy to rise is heat. Okay, so the heat gives the water the energy to rise. Okay, so now when a pressure cooker is heated, the weight on its lid is pushed up by steam. So I have seen the pressure cooker. When the pressure cooker is heated, you will see that the whistle sound comes. Okay, how does the whistle sound comes? The lid of the pressure cooker moves upward. Okay, so the steam pushes the lid of the pressure cooker to move forward, and at that time only the whistling sound comes, the pressure cooker whistle sound comes. Okay, so how it is, the whistle of the pressure cooker, how it sounds. Okay, how the heat acts as a pressure to lift up the pressure cooker through steam. Heat gives steam the energy to lift the weight of the lid. The realization that the energy of steam can be made to do useful work led to the invention of steam engine. So from this regard we can say that when pressure cooker is heated, at that time the steam rises the lid of the pressure cooker. Okay, so this pushes up, some work is going on there. Okay, some energy is produced to the heatness of the heat produce the energy to lift up the lid of the pressure cooker. Okay, So from this we can understood that heat acts as an energy. Okay, so from this steam engine is produced. Okay, so and it is the energy of the steam that we use to turn the shaft of a generator to generate electricity in the thermal power station. So how hot or cold? How you will identify? Like when you touch an ice cube. Okay, so when you touch an ice cube, what you feel? Very cold, no? And when you touch a hot water, what you feel? Very hot. Okay, for example, touching an ice cube, you feel on the one side of your hand, with one hand you touch the ice cube and with other hand you touch the hot. Okay, touch the hot water. Okay, what will you feel? The ice cube is very cold and the hot water is hot, because the temperature of ice is cooler than you compared to your body, and the temperature of hot water is higher to the comparing to your body. Okay, so that proves the hotness and coolness of the particular substances. So how we measure temperature? How we measure temperature? By using thermometer. This is the procedure of measuring the temperature. The temperature of a substance is measured of degree of hotness of the substance, degree of hotness or coldness of the substances of body. We have just discussed that the hotness or a coldness of a body is something relative. The temperature of a substance or a body can be measured through an instrument called thermometer. The temperature, the measurement degree is said to be as hotness and coldness of the temperature. Okay, so hotness is a heat, coldness is a cold. Okay, so that can be measured through an instrument called thermometer. Then how can we measure the degree of hotness of a body? Comparing it with a standard that we all agree upon. This is precisely that we do when we use thermometer to measure temperature. So remember, when we use the thermometer, when anybody gets fever at your home, okay, so immediately we take out the thermometer and we put it in the mouth and see whether the temperature, how much the body temperature has raised. Okay, so according to that, our normal body temperature is 98.6 degree Fahrenheit, and if it raises about 99, if the thermometer shows it is 99 degree Fahrenheit or 100 degree Fahrenheit, okay, it means that we are having high temperature in our body. That is fever. That is called as fever. Okay, so the illness that is called as fever. Scales of temperature. A thermometer has graduation, marking or a scale made on the basis of two standard temperatures agreed upon universally. A thermometer having a scale on it which measures, okay, which records the up and rise of the temperature. Okay, so up of the temperature shows the up and rise of the up and fall of the temperature. They are called the lower upper fixed points. Usually the lower point is taken as the temperature at which ice melts, while the upper fixed point is taken as the temperature which water boils. Okay, the lower point always indicates the melting point of the ice, and the upper point indicates the boiling point of the water. Thus, ice always melts at the same temperature and water always boils at the same temperature. Ice melts at 0 degree Celsius and water, boils, the water boiling point of water is 100 degree. Okay, the two commonly used scales are measuring temperature as Celsius scales and the Fahrenheit scales. There are two scales are there. Okay, for measuring the temperature. One is Celsius temperature, Celsius scales, and one is Fahrenheit scale. On the Celsius scale, the melting point of ice is taken as 0 degree Celsius. Okay, so on the Celsius scale, melting point of ice is 0 degree Celsius and the boiling point of water is 100 degree Celsius. After these 2 points are marked on a Celsius thermometer, the distance between them is divided to 100 equal divisions. Okay, the distance between these two has been divided into 100 equal divisions. 100 small 100 equal divisions. Thus, each division on the Celsius scale measures a temperature difference of 1 degree Celsius. So each division indicates the rise and fall of difference between each equal division, that is said to be as 1 degree Celsius. The temperature difference between two divisions, one divisions, okay, that is said to be as 1 degree Celsius. So this is the scale used in laboratory thermometer. Clinical thermometer. Celsius scale is mostly used in laboratories. Okay, So that's why it is said to be as laboratory thermometer. And Fahrenheit scales, which is said to be as clinical thermometer, which we normally use for the purpose of clinical checkups. Like at home we use, doctors are having, okay, the thermometer which we put inside our mouth to measure our body temperature. That is a clinical thermometer, and it is having a Fahrenheit, okay, Fahrenheit scales. So Fahrenheit clinical thermometers use the Fahrenheit scales on which ice melts at. In clinical thermometer, the melting point of ice is 32 degree and the boiling point of water is 212 degree. The difference between 2 points is divided into 180 equal divisions. Okay, in the Celsius scale, the difference between 2 points is divided into 100 equal divisions, and in the Fahrenheit scale, it is divided into 180 equal divisions. In other words, each division measures a temperature difference of 1 degree Fahrenheit. In Celsius, it measures the difference of difference measures into 1 degree Celsius. In Fahrenheit scale, the difference measures into 1 degree Fahrenheit using a thermometer. How we use a thermometer? A thermometer has a bulb fitted with mercury. If you have seen the thermometer, okay, so now it is digital thermometer is used, but still the thermometer, if you see the original thermometer, if you see, it is having a bulb, okay. So in that bulb, okay, mercury is connected, okay, at the end, okay. So when you put it inside the mouth, okay, if your body temperature is higher than the normal temperature, if you are having a fever, abnormalities in your body, high temperature, if your body contains a high temperature, at the time what happens, the mercury level in the clinical thermometer rises up, which indicates the temperature, which indicates your body temperature, how much your body temperature. Normally our body temperature is 98 degree Fahrenheit, but if it goes 98.6 Fahrenheit, and if it goes beyond 98.6 Fahrenheit, that is 99 degree Fahrenheit or 100 degree Fahrenheit, that reveals that your body temperature is high. That means you are having a fever. Okay, how it can be identified? When you put the thermometer, clinical thermometer, inside your mouth, what happens at that time? The mercury which is present inside the inside the thermometer will rise up. Okay, so inside the thermometer is made of a glass, a tube, and inside that a hollow tube is there, and in that, okay, at the end point you will be having a kink, okay, which is not present in the laboratory thermometer. Okay, kink is present only in the clinical thermometer, okay, which makes the mercury not to fall so easily at down level. We need to jerk the, after using the clinical thermometer once, after measuring the temperature of a body at once, the mercury level doesn't fall so easily. The kink, because of the kink, okay, because the kink present in the clinical thermometer, okay, you have to jerk very nicely to bring down the mercury level in a normal position, okay, so that afterwards only we can use, after a few minutes, after a jerking, after a heavy jerk to bring the mercury in a normal position, after that only we can use that thermometer to measure the temperature of other body, okay, so other human body, okay. But while in the laboratory thermometer, kink is not present, so easily it rises up, easily it falls down, okay. So now, effects of heat. How does the heat affect us? Everyday experience and all that we have discussed so far have many helped us to draw certain conclusions about the effect of heat on substances. Let us discuss some of this. Temperature rises heat, okay. So how does the temperature rises heat? Okay, when you heat something or supply it with heat, its temperature rises. So obviously when you heat something, okay, when you boil water, the water gets heated up, that is temperature rises, the water of the temperature get raised up, okay, so the water get heated. So when you heat, when you heat something, its temperature or normally rises up. You would have noticed this in the activity in which you have measured the temperature of boiling water. The conversion is also true. When you cool something, the temperature falls. Cooling something is the same as taking away heat from it. The same way, when we heat water, the temperature rises. When we don't heat or when we cool water, the temperature is taken away and the liquid gets into a cool form, normal position it comes, okay. Why does the body temperature rise when we have a fever? Why our body temperature rise? Okay, so what is the reason for rising our body temperature? So fever is actually symptom of illness. Okay, so we have fever. Okay, so often we have fever after few months. Okay, after few months or few days. Okay, that is an illness. Okay, that is an illness of our body. Normally the body has its own mechanism of regulating heat so that the temperature is maintained at a particular level. It is a complex mechanism of gaining and losing heat controlled by the brain. So normally our body has a mechanism to regulate our body temperature by sweating. Okay, so when we become warm, when we get hot, okay, when we are in a summer season, okay, so we sweat. Okay, that is a regulating process, that is a body mechanism which makes sweating. By sweating we regulate heat. Okay, by sweating our body becomes cool in the hot weather. Okay, so that is the regulations of a body temperature. Our body has its own mechanism to regulate the temperature of our body. In case if it is unable to regulate, okay, and due to the illness, okay, the fever, body temperature rises, that is said to be as fever, and that is measured with a clinical thermometer, and that is regulated by our brain. The germs that causes illness infects this is the with this mechanism and cause the temperature of the body to rise. Heat causes expansion. How does the heat causes expansion? Expansion means to become a broader. Okay, so expansion means to extend, to get more, etc. How does heat extend the things? Okay, like all substances, whether solid, liquid and gases, get expand when they heated and contract when they are cooled. Okay, so all liquid, gas and solid substances which are heated, they get extended. Okay, and when they are contracted, they are contracted when they are cooled. On heating it gets extended, and on heating it gets extended, and on cooling it gets contracted. Okay, so with the expanded different. Expansion is the greatest in gases, less in liquid and least in solid. So the activities, you can do some activities to see how does it extend. For example, take a metal rod. Okay, so take a metal rod and mark metal rod you have fixed with a pointer, paper pointer. Okay, and inside the pencil, and if you heat the metal rod, the paper pointer will, as soon as the metal gets heated, no, at that time what happens, the paper pointer will move from the initiate position to other positions. Okay, so it proves that metal expands with when it comes in a contact of heat, when it is heated. Okay, so not only that, in a liquid also extend. Example, you can take a bottle, glass bottle. Okay, so inside the bottle you pour a color water and put a straw inside the color bottle, and seal the mouth of the bottle very properly. Okay, so mouth of the bottle you have to seal by keeping the straw inside. Okay, so just through your mouth raise the water level in a straw. Okay, so after that what you do, you keep the bottle in a hot water. Okay, so keep the bottle in a hot water. After few minutes you can see that the water, the colored water which is present inside the water bottle will rise up in a straw. Okay, that proves that heat also expands what? Heat also expands liquid. Okay, so now let us come to the gas. Okay, how does a gas expand? Okay, take an empty bottle, okay, and keep this empty bottle in a hot water, and take a balloon, and the balloon is to be you have to take a balloon and cover the mouth of the empty bottle and keep this empty bottle in a hot water. So after few minutes you will see that balloon is inflated. Okay, inflated means becoming bigger. Okay, becoming expanding because of the air. Okay, because of the hot air. Okay, so because of the hot air, so this also proves that gas also expands because due to the heat. Okay, when you give heat causes changes of state. Okay, so heat causes the changes of states. There is a 3 state of liquid. One is solid, liquid and gaseous. Okay, when you heat solid, that means solid ice cubes. Okay, when you take ice cube from the refrigerator and you start heating, what will happen? It will form into a liquid. Okay, so and when you start heating the liquid, it will form into a gas, evaporate. It will start evaporating. Okay, so that is vaporization. Okay, the gaseous form you can say. So it from solid to it becomes liquid, and from liquid to it becomes what? Gaseous forms. Okay, so this is a reversible process. Again this gaseous things, if you cool down, it will become in a liquid process, and again that liquid, if you keep inside the refrigerator in extreme coldness, that will become into a solid state. Okay, so gaseous things, like how we can find the gaseous, if the gaseous evaporation, how you will find that it forms in a liquid. Okay, so example you can take while you're cooking, while your mother cooking, no, so after cooking you cover the utensil with a cover. Okay, so you cover the utensil with some other plate or cover. Okay, so cover it the utensil. After a few minutes, when the utensils are getting cooled down, okay, so at that time what will you find? You will find water droplets on the cover. Okay, after taking the removing the cover which we, after removing the plate which you have covered, okay, the utensil, okay, that plate you will find water droplets. This proves that when gaseous, I mean, are cooled down, it becomes into liquid, and if the liquid you kept in a deep refrigerator, okay, that goes into a solid state. Okay, so although the melting point of solid, that is ice cube, is 0 degree, and the melting point of wax and ice cube will be different. The different substances are having different boiling point and a different melting point. Suppose the melting point of ice cube is 0 degree Celsius and 0 degree, and if the melting point of wax, we can take it as approximately like 154 degree Fahrenheit or 115 degree Fahrenheit, or Celsius if you take 46 degree, it is approximately 46 to 68 degree Celsius melting point of wax is. Okay, and melting point of water is 0 degree Celsius. Okay, so each and every substance has its own melting point and own boiling point. It is not like that water is having 100 degree Celsius, boiling point of water is 100 degree Celsius, means the boiling point of other liquid also will be 100 degree Celsius. It is not like that. Each and every substances are having, each and every compounds have their own melting and boiling point, different melting and boiling point. Okay, the flow of heat. Why does the mercury in a thermometer rise when you place it under your mouth? Okay, so why does it rises when you keep the thermometer inside your mouth? We measure we take the use of a thermometer to measure the body temperature, clinical thermometer. Okay, so that is a Fahrenheit scale. Okay, and the Celsius scale is used for the laboratory purposes only. So that is a laboratory thermometer. So when you take the thermometer, clinical thermometer, and put it in your mouth, you will see if your body temperature is higher than the normal body temperature, the mercury will go on rising. How does it rises? Okay, because the temperature of the thermometer is less than your body temperature. Okay, so that the body temperature makes thermometer mercury to push upward. Okay, so this also this proves that how heat flows. Okay, how heat flows. So the travel different through different mediums. Heat travel through differently in different mediums. There are 3 different ways in which heat travel. That is conduction, convection, and radiation. Conducting means to conduct. Okay, heat. Okay, so if you stir something cooking in a pan with a metal spoon, the end you are holding soon becomes too hot to handle. Okay, so for example, you are cooking something inside your kitchen. Okay, you're cooking you're stirring your cooked food with a metal spoon. At that time, what happens if you keep that metal spoon inside the utensil, inside the hot utensil for a few seconds or a few minutes, you will be unable to touch the this one. You will be unable to touch the that spoon. Okay, it becomes very hot. Why it is becoming very hot? Because of conduction. It is conducting the heat from It is conducting the heat from the cooking. Okay, so that is the reason. That is called conduction. The transfer of heat. Okay, the transfer of heat, it is said to be as conduction. Not only that, suppose you take an example, you can take like a steel. Okay, steel rulers, you know, the rulers which we put margins by using, we put margins. Okay, so steel rulers. Okay, heat that one ruler and keep the other ruler on the top of it. Okay, at that time, what will you see? After heating that one ruler, the heat transfers to the other ruler. Okay, when it is attached with the first ruler, the heat transfers to the other ruler. That is conduction. That is transformation of heat to one particle to another particle. And metal is a very good conductor. Metal is very good conductor. That's why we cook food in the metal utensils. Okay, we use steel utensils. Okay, for cooking our food, so it can conduct heat very easily. Metal is a good conductor. So this is the conduction process. Heat stops flowing when the two bodies are at the same temperature. So when does the heat stop flowing? When that means when two bodies are of same temperature. Okay, so example, the two rulers which we took for a conducting experiment, that what happened when the two ruler becomes hot. Okay, the heat is conducted in two ruler and the two ruler become hot. Okay, at that time it stops. Okay, so two ruler will be equally heated, equally hotness will be there equally. Okay, so it stops conducting when the two bodies are of same temperature. Okay, so two bodies have the equal temperature means it will not conduct, it will not transfer, it will be not able to transfer one body's heat to another, because they both body are having the same amount of temperature. Thus, for heat to be conducted from one body to another, they must be in contact with each other and different temperatures. So, when to conduct a heat from one body to another, the substance should be of different temperature. Both should be in a different temperatures. One should be lower or higher than the other substance. Okay, so not only that, the two bodies should be connected. Okay, two bodies should be connected together. So conductors and insulators, all substances do not conduct heat with the same way, okay. So all the conductors, the same way, all the substances doesn't have the same boiling and melting point, the same way that all the metals doesn't have the same way to conduct. Some gets conduction very easily. Okay, some get in metals, example, metals, the temperature, the conduction of the temperature is very high. Okay, easily it conducts. Okay, for example, if you take a glass, okay, so comparative to metal and glass, they both will not have the same conduction, same way of conducting heat, conducting temperature. Do the working substances through which heat flows easily are called conductors, and simply conductor. Most metals are good conductors, silver being the best. So metals are mostly good conductors, silver is the best one to conduct heat very easily, and that is why we use metals to make cooking utensils. That is also why we do not generally drink tea or coffee in a steel cup. So metals are good conductor of heat. Okay, so that is the reason why we don't take any hot tea or coffee in a tumbler, steel utensils, because we will be not able to catch the tumbler, it will become very easily heated. Okay, so that is the reason we don't drink tea or coffee or any hot things, any hot beverages we don't pour into a steel utensils or steel vessels or a steel cup or a steel tumbler. Okay, substances through which heat does not flow easily are called bad conductor or insulators. Insulators means which protect the heat, which doesn't allow to transfer the heat from one side to another side. Okay, so that are said to be insulators, or you can say as a bad conductor also, they don't conductor. Example, plastic is a bad conductor, wood is a bad conductor, all these things are bad conductors. Okay, rubber is a bad conductors. Okay, or insulators. So plastics, in certain spoons you can see at the end of the spoon you will find the plastics, the stripe of the spoon is fixed with a plastic. Okay, so that we can stir the hot cooking food very easily. Okay, so the heat doesn't conduct very easily at the end of the spoon and we can catch the spoon nicely. Okay, guess why we use plastics for making the handles of cooking utensils, so that the heat from the utensil does not reach our hand. Convection. Now convection. What is the meaning of convection? The process in which heat moves through a gas or a liquid. Okay, so that is convection. The process which moves heat through a gas, in a gas or a liquid, whenever the heat moves or transfers. Okay, so that is a conductor. When the lighter part will rise up and the heavier part will sink. Okay, so that is convection. So conductor is the transfer of heat from one body to another, and it is having the conduction happens only when the two bodies are connected together. Not only that, the two bodies should have the conduction stops when the two bodies have the same temperature. Okay, while in convection is heat moves, convection in which heat moves in a liquid or a gas, whether the heavier part, okay, sinks down and the lighter part rises up. So let us see how the lighter part rises up. For example, potassium permanganate, that is KMnO4, but the formula potassium permanganate is KMnO4. okay, so in a potassium in a water, okay, so if you put a potassium permanganate, which is colored one, okay, and start heating, what will you find? The color will come upward. Okay, so we know that when something is heated, okay, it becomes very lighter. Okay, it expands. Okay, it becomes very lighter, and the lighter part obviously will come upward, and the cooler part, the heavier part obviously will go down. Okay, so this is the process how the lighter part comes up and the cooler part goes down. Okay, boiling of water. Okay, normal boiling of water, when you keep water for a boiling, at that time you will find that the bottom of the water gets easily heated and it comes up. Okay, it rises up, it comes up, and the cold water which is present at the top of the utensils will go down, because the cold things are heavier and the heated one, the cold things are very much heavier compared to the heat one, compared to the warm water. The warm water will rise up and the heat water will go down, and the cold water will go down, the cold water gets heated, again it will rise up, again the cold water. So this is the process, this is the repeated process. Lighter one will come upward and the hot one will, the heavier one will sink downward. Okay, so this is the process, you can say. The water near the crystal becomes colored because some potassium permanganate dissolved in it. When this water is heated, it expands and becomes lighter. The lighter water rises the way balloon rises in the air. As the warmer water rises, it comes in contact with the cold water above. It passes on some of the heat it is carrying to the cold water. In the process, it cools down, contracts, and becomes dense or heavier. The dense water then sinks to the bottom down the side of the beakers. Okay, so this is the proof. The potassium permanganate, when you put KMnO4, when you put into a water and start boiling the water, the color, as soon as you start heating the water, at that time what will you find? The color will rises up, since the potassium permanganate is sinked at the bottom of the water, and still the color will rises up, because by heating it shows that the warm water is heavier and the cold water is denser. Okay, the cold water is warm water is lighter and the cold water is denser than the warm water. Okay, the process of transfer of heat in a liquid or a gas by movement of liquid or a gas is called convection. The current set up in the liquid or gas is called convection current. The current which is set up in the liquid or gas is said to be as convection current. This does happen in solids. It happens in the solids. Now, importance of convection currents. What are the importance of convection of currents? Ventilators, exhaust fan. You have heard about the ventilators. Your rooms, your homes will be made of ventilators. Without ventilators, there will be no room. Okay, so if it is if without ventilators, means you feel suffocated and very hotness inside the room. Okay, so ventilator allows the hotness of the room to go out, and the cool air, the ventilators let in the cool air, okay, from the atmosphere. So our body has certain amount of, our body releases certain amount of heat when we live inside the room. Okay, so for example, 5 or 6 people are gathered together, at that place you will find hotness. Okay, compared to the place where there is no people, or 1 or 2 people compared to the group of people. Okay, so at that time our body releases some kind of heat. So inside our room, whatever the carbon dioxide is a hot. Okay, so whatever we are carbon dioxide coming out from our body, we are inhaling and exhaling the inhaling the oxygen and exhaling the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is hot, only warm. Okay, so our body produces some hotness. Okay, so that should be let out, okay, through the ventilators or the exhaust fan. Okay, so that the warm air is lighter. Okay, so it goes up and it goes to the ventilator, let out by the ventilator or the exhaust fan, and the exhaust fan and the ventilator let in the cold air inside the room. Okay, so this is the process. Hot smoke and gases from the industrial furnace rise and escape through the chimneys, much as the smoke escape through the chimney in a shoebox. Okay, furnace is closed fire used for melting metal or burning substances. Okay, so in an industry you will find chimneys will be there. Okay, when they make when they use when they make some kind of products inside the industry, the smokes produced, okay, that smoke goes up through the chimney. How it goes? Okay, so because it is lighter, because the smoke is the smoke is hot air. Okay, so the hot air is lighter than the cold air. Okay, comparatively to the comparatively lighter than the room cold air. Okay, so at that time what happens to the chimneys, the smokes will go out. Okay, so chimneys allows in industries, chimneys allows to let out the smokes in the environment. The sea and the land breezes which blow in coastal areas are actually convection current. Okay, the sea and the land breeze which blows, which comes out from the coastal areas, that is actually a convection current, we say. Okay, the sea takes longer to get heated than does the land. The sea, comparatively to the land, the sea takes longer time to heat. Okay, so in a land it gets heated very easily, okay, compared to the sea. So the land is hotter than the sea during the day. The air in contact with the land becomes hot and rises, and the cooler air above the sea rushes in towards the land to take its place. So what happened? Though the land gets heated faster compared to the sea, at the time what happens? As I already told you, hot air is lighter than the cold air. That the breeze, okay, so the air which is above the sea, okay, that takes place of the land air, and the land air goes to the sea. Okay, so at that time the sea air gets warmer. Okay, so this is a convection current. Okay, after sunset the land cools much faster. The air above the sea is warmer than that above the land. It rises, and the cooler air above the land moves out towards the sea. We call this a land breeze. Okay, so when the land gets cooler very faster compared to the sea, as the sea gets the sea takes that much time to become warm, or the sea air takes much time to become warm comparing to the land air, but the same time land air becomes cooler very fast. Okay, so at the evening time, and that is called as land breeze. Okay, now radiation. Heat does not require a solid. Transfer of heat does not require a solid or any other medium, solid, liquid or gas, to be able to travel. Okay, so heat or light almost same. That does not require any other medium or to travel from one place to another. Medium in the sense we can take solid, liquid or gas. Any other things, any other matters are not required to travel. Okay, in a vacuum or a hollow space, the light and the heat can transfer without any medium. That is how heat from the sun can reach us, traveling through the vast expanse of space. That is vacuum, doesn't have any medium, air, solid or liquid, nothing. In a space nothing is there. Have you imagined how does the sun rays fall on the earth? So it falls on the earth. It proves that in a space, through traveling through the space only it is falling, right? So space doesn't have after certain limitations above the atmosphere. Okay, high above the atmosphere there is no air. Okay, that is a hollow space. Okay, that is a vacuum. Okay, so if there is a vacuum, the sun rays are coming through the vacuum only. That is a hollow space, nothing is that space. Okay, so that proves that light and heat doesn't require any medium to travel. Okay, it can travel in a vacuum also. That is said to be as radiation. The process by which travel through the space is known as radiation. You could say radiation is the process by which heat travels without the help of material medium. Without the help of material medium, heat can travel. That process is said to be as radiation. It is much the same as the process by which light travels. Light and heat are very similar. Both travel in straight line in all directions from a body emitting heat and light. Though we are not always aware of it, all objects radiate heat. Okay, so all objects radiate heat. We are much not aware of it that all objects radiate heat. We radiate heat. Human beings radiate heat. All living objects radiate heat. Okay, so and light and heat travel in a straight line. They are almost same only. and they can travel in a vacuum. They can travel in a vacuum, that is a space, okay, without any, they don't need require any material medium to travel from one place to another. They can travel, they do, I mean, in a vacuum space also they can travel, okay, vacuum. In other words, the heat radiated by an object depends on its temperature. This heat is called radiant heat or radiant energy. The heat which is radiated by a substance, it's completely dependent on its temperature, okay. So, and that radiation is, that heat is said to be as radiant heat or radiant energy. The sun, which is very hot, emits an enormous amount of radiant energy. The sun is very hot and which gives us the enormous, unlimited amount of heat, okay. So, some of it is absorbed by the object, the some is reflected by it. How much of the radiant energy falling on the object is reflected and how much is absorbed depends on the color of the object and the nature of its surface. So, how much is reflected, okay, how much heat is getting reflected and how much heat is getting absorbed, it is completely dependent upon the color of the object or surface of the object, okay. So, if the object surface is very plain and smooth, okay, so the heat gets reflected very easily, and if the surface of the object is rough and not smooth, the heat gets absorbed very easily. Not only that, the absorption and the reflection of the heat also depends on the color of the object, okay. So, the black color, the dark color which absorbs the heat very fast comparatively to the light colors, okay. That is the reason why we say that in summer seasons where the light colored cloths like white cloths, very light cloths, light pink, white color, light cloths we use, so that the heat, okay, in the summer season heat cannot be absorbed, heat should not be absorbed through our cloths, okay. So, when we wear a black or a dark colored cloth in the summer, what happens, we get warm, we get lots of heat in our body because the dark color absorbs heat very fast comparatively the light color, okay. So, in winter seasons we wear the dark colored cloths to get the heat of the sun. The dark colored cloth absorbs the heat and keeps our body warm, okay, in the winter season, but in the summer season we wear light colored cloths. So, this proves that heat is complete, the reflection and absorption of heat is completely dependent upon surface of the object and the color of the object. So, here ends your chapter. If you have any doubt regarding this chapter, you can contact me at night. Thank you.